Welcome to Laugh, Cry, or Die, a comedy disability podcast hosted by me, Steve Wilbury, and Naomi Strain. We suck at life and then talk about it so you can laugh at and or near us.
Yes, hopefully.
Well, it happens most of the time. At least we're laughing. And if we're
Yeah.
laughing, the chances are that there's at least one dark weirdo out there who is also on the same vibe.
Probably my mum. Hi, Mum.
Right, my wife listened to one of the trailers and then was like, I was like, do you want to listen to the podcast? Because she never comes to see my shows.
I was going to say, she listens to us moaning all the time.
Yeah, she's like,
That's basically what this podcast is. It's just us sitting in our lounges, whinging and moaning about how shit everything is.
Do you know why we do that, though? Because everything is shit. Life is horrible.
Yeah, everything sucks. Yeah.
Well, you got to have a minute because we spend so much of our lives pretending that it doesn't. And that goes for normies too, like that. The interview we did, she was talking about how this podcast is like just complete unmasking,
Yeah, completely.
Like none of the pretend.
Yeah.
So how's your week been? Are you spazzing much?
I had one big spaz and drugs and hospital and no injuries, but what was interesting was when I woke up, they were quite busy and I was in recess, which is a bit where they bring in extremely poorly people, but I was just kind of overflow. And they said, oh, we just need the beds. If you could just take a seat on, here, and we're just waiting for the blood test results. And so I'm sat there, and then they all start rushing around, and their doctor phone was going, and they're talking about, yes, we need to get them in here, and intubation, and all big technical scary words. And I thought, they're getting ready to bring some extremely poorly people in. I don't want to be just sat watching, like right in the middle of it. And I was like, oh, hello. And I was trying to get a nurse who didn't look to be as rushing around as the others. And so when I saw one, I was like, hello, I don't think I want to sit where the poorly people are. And she's like, that's probably a very good call. I said, yeah, they don't sound good. And she's like, no, they don't sound good. I'm like, I'm out of here.
Oh,
but,
man.
Yeah, kind of put into perspective that I wasn't that poorly.
Yeah, it's when you're like, oh, people are just made of meat.
Yeah.
That's the line that you don't want to cross.
They're pretty delicate. And see, what gets me with humans is you can get people get a tiny little bump to the head and die. Other people get absolutely mashed up in a car crash and live. Like, how are we so fragile and so resilient at the same time?
Because we're meat. We're sacks of meat. My favorite thing is meat robots, which actually kind of ties onto a topic I've had floating around in the back of my head.
Okay.
So we'll go ahead and hitch that boat, he said, making a funny noise like Jim Carrey, apparently. You know why? Because that was the first really funny person I identified with.
Jim Carrey.
And when you're like, 12 and Ace Ventura comes out, you're just like, oh, that's how you make people go, alrighty then, and you do the funny face.
Yeah.
They're very funny faces for podcast people.
In normal life,
because that was one of the first ways I figured out how to be funny, and I guess it's just
see, I don't notice it so much in life. It is literally just listening back to things. It's like, there's Steve with a funny noise again.
Because I'm a grown-up, not a 12-year-old.
Yes, and you're trying to hide that nonsense side of yourself.
Well, I think that it's the 12-year-old is that, like, you're really trying to figure out how to make people like you and how the whole fucking thing works, So it's like, everyone likes Ace Ventura, I can just do that. That's
just mimic somebody else.
But I think that's how, like, as an artist, you always do. You find what you like, and then you try to be that, and then you find your own voice.
Yeah.
Which still has, I guess, probably the accents of your youth.
Oh, it does shape your humor going forward, doesn't it? Yes.
Indeed. Anyway, we're talking about meat robots.
Yeah.
That's what we are. We're meat robots.
Yeah. But no, I was thinking about, after my hospital visit this week, when I came round, the nurse who was talking, looking after me, was so lovely. And we chatted like humans. It didn't chat like nurse patient. We're talking about TV and stuff like that. And it makes such a huge difference with medical professionals on whether they treat me as a patient or a human. And as thinking about how that affects your identity, like how other people see you, and not just us, but everybody in the world, that you have the sort of perception or idea of how you see yourself, and other people are going to see you quite differently to that, and you can only influence it so much. And so it was making me think about how you identify, who you are now. How different would that be if you didn't have your disability? Like, what would you have achieved and what would you have done?
That's that's a spicy meatball,
It's
to quote
spicy
Jim Carrey
meatball.
in The Mask.
Because I
Yeah,
think that, like, career and hobbies wise, I'm very different. Like, when people see me now, I kind of, my self judgment and that, think that they're going to see me as, dumb or lazy or incapable. And it's like, hang on, I'm kind of on the cleverer side rather than the dumb side. I think I'm, stop laughing at that. I am clever.
I'm smart, mister. I am.
Oh,
I passed third grade twice.
I can read books and that,
Yeah, but I can't read, but I can fix a tractor.
which is a valid skill for any
Which has its own.
all our tractor fanatics who are listening. You have valid skills.
The disability and tractor communities are very tightly tied.
Quite niche. But yeah. And so, because I was thinking that, because I've had seizures for so long and they're so impactful on what, career and hobbies and all that kind of stuff, that I kind of don't know who I am without the seizures. Like,
that's a big one.
Yeah, like I don't want to just be, hello, I'm spaz, and that's my full defining factor.
Yeah.
But if you waved one of your magic wands and went bam, no seizures, then how does my day to day change? It'd be such a dramatic change.
I
don't
was
know what I'd
talking
be like.
to my this guy. He's my mentor, basically. And we just haven't like signed any papers. And he was talking about like my stand-up and my performance, and he was saying that there needs to be like more jokes and less stories that make people wish they weren't me. And I was like, you're not wrong. And we were trying to, like, we were doing some writing and we were working on jokes, and I was really struggling to find stuff that I'd thought of that wasn't about the horrible part,
Yeah.
And really, like, where, especially with the Crips, because I've had to train my brain to be so calmed down, like those kind of bright sparks where I'm thinking up funny thoughts and jokes, like they take energy out of me.
Yeah.
Although I did have one. Can I try a bit on you?
Go on then.
All right. There's no lonelier plate than the carrot sticks at a child's birthday party. They're just orange rectangles of a mother's hope that she's imbued right decisions in a child, and she's disappointed.
It's very true.
They're surrounded by M&Ms, cupcakes. They're orange. They're exciting. Look, they're fucking rectangles. Normally they're a cylinder. Madness. No choice. No choice for the carrot sticks. Just a mother's silent tears as her child develops early onset diabetes. Is that a thing?
Yeah, and there's no mention of disability or poorliness or pain.
And it was the first joke that I thought of for a long time that was like not so, I don't, egocentric, I guess, because there's so much, like you were saying at the beginning, that idea of people will, this is such a huge part of my life that's the only thing people will see, and we forget about the mask that everybody wears.
Yeah, and see, as much as we don't want to be, just the disability or disorder, as much as we don't want that, because it's every day and because it's all the time, when someone says, hey, what have you been up to? And it's like, oh, been to hospital and I've rolled around the lounge and I've cut my face open, and it's like all our, that
Mm,
get better work stories. And it's like
mm,
our work stories are staying alive.
mm,
And so that is mostly what we can talk about. And so we're kind of fulfilling that prophecy of, yes, that is
mm.
kind of all we're
That
about.
that yeah.
Mm,
And totally, because like, I mean, I had pouchitis for the last 5 days. That
mm.
really consumed so much of my life that I didn't get a bunch of laundry done. Like my self-care was like, it was really, I was like, oh, I'm really sick. When my
Yeah,
self-care starts to go down, I'm like, okay, I need to get in the shower now, because that's step one to not dying, you know?
yeah, yeah,
And I think it's a really big canary in the coal mine for mental health, physical health, everything health. That like if I am dirty and not clean, something's not going right.
yes, yeah. Those very basic sort
Yeah,
of
and you
skills.
and
Yeah, yeah,
then I found that when I'm in the pit, putting in the self-care, and then you can start climbing your way back out. But we're
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about self-identity and stuff, and the
Mm.
answer to that question is I would be intensely boring.
Do
I
you
would
think?
every day would be the same. I would like eat the same food. I would go to work at 9, come home at 5. I would have, I know it's the 21st century, so I wouldn't have a lot of savings, but I wouldn't be destitute. And like I would not randomly get pouchitis for the sin of eating a creamy dish and spend 5 days in agony.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
everything would be solid. And I remember at the start of my kind of disability journey that that was like the really big struggle, was like wanting it to be the same. If I have a job that I can hold down, then I'll have that stability to my day. Everything will be the same. And
yeah,
then by extension, I will be fine because I've put that. But
yeah.
and then I would get a job and it would break. And then I get a job. And then it's until finally Rachel looked me dead in the eye and was like, "You are not working a job ever again." And then
Oh,
I got one
yeah.
more job, lost it. And I was like, okay, you're right.
And that's a like kind of a huge thing, is accepting that you're not capable of that expected
Mm.
sort of life. Um,
Yes,
but
yes.
it does, like I'm a great believer in silver linings, as cheesy as that is. That, yeah, you're right.
Mm,
I'm probably a more interesting person because of the seizures, because you have to try
mm,
and live as much life as you can around them. And so trying to fit interesting things in that aren't seizure related and aren't boring, I think it forces you to become, it forces you to become more interesting. Like if I had, that typical 9 to 5, then I go,
mm.
okay, yes, I'm achieving and I'm making money and I don't need to worry about this, that, and the other. And then my weekends, I would sit and watch TV.
And I would be so happy. But because I didn't know about what the other side of the seesaw would be,
Yes, yeah,
and this is when I talk about there's a level of, I don't want to say spiritual accomplishment, but I say personal development, that in order to be like a healthy disabled person, you really need to nail down. And even if you have it nailed down, it'll get loose and you'll fall over. But
yeah,
like
yeah.
there's like we talked about a couple episodes ago about like, that we really have to live in a seriously mindful way, or else there will be serious physical consequences.
Yeah, yeah. So we can make plans,
Mm.
but you've got to be pretty open to the fact that those plans won't happen.
Yeah, which brings you closer to the Buddhist concept of impermanence. Everything changes.
Yeah, yeah.
And, there
So
would
have
be
we've reached enlightenment.
yeah, sure. You know what? I
Yeah.
put it on the t-shirt. We'll just say two enlightened spazzes.
Yeah. Through suffering comes enlightenment.
You're not wrong. You're not
Yeah.
wrong. Boom.
Got it sussed.
We'll loop in the Buddhist market sector and the tractor trek market sector.
But all
All of a
those
sudden,
the tractor driving monks are going to be loving it.
true story, one of the Buddhist monks that I studied under, he put in a tractor repair school in his monastery.
Well, there we go. Here's the market for this podcast.
Because in rural Tibet, they use a lot of tractors.
Makes sense. We just tapped into something there.
Boom. Tractors and motorcycle repair. Those were like the two growth industries in Tibet,
He
which
sounds like a great monk.
Yeah, he's pretty rad.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
pretty rad. I digress. So monks, tractors, self-identity. Yeah, I would be boring. I would think I would still be, the kind of witty conversationalist or something, but I think I definitely would probably be more of an asshole.
Okay. Well, I mean, you're quite a big asshole at the moment.
I know, but I'd be like a gaping prolapsed rectum.
Are you
Like,
being nasty asshole?
I
See,
don't think
now
I'd be
you're kind of a playful asshole at the minute. Like, hey, I hate you. You can get away with it.
Do you want to put a champagne bottle in me? Who knows?
Yeah, but so do you think you would be an evil asshole instead of a
I don't think I'd be an evil asshole. I'd be a prick. I'd be a lot more sure of how right I am, which is like that's when I can be my most prickish at the minute.
Right. Yeah.
But because, I've had all of my expectations stripped away from me by the power of circumstance, it gives you a much better perspective on other people. And no matter how, we always have that angst against normies and their marathon running or whatever, but like they're really probably more unhappy about different things in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I think everyone's got their unhappiness, which is equally valid.
Just like tractor fixing.
Yeah. Yeah. Some people are very happy with their rundown tractor. Other people need a brand new shiny one.
But the thing is, right? So if say we're tractors, right? Or tie it back to the meat robot thing, right? We are hot rods. We are like seriously modded out, high horsepower, karma burning, like
We are us.
Yeah. Dude, your heart rate goes 210 randomly. Tell me another person who can hit that while trying. You're not even trying. You're just laying there.
There we go.
And
Bam.
your heart rate's
Exercise.
210. Boom. Done. You're like the fittest person I know. So,
which is ironic because I hate cardio. It absolutely sucks. So if I can get it while unconscious, perfect.
And you do it. There's that Rick and Morty episode, Night People, where they like get the people while they're asleep to go and do 200 sit-ups. That's you. You go unconscious, don't have to sit through it, and then you're like, oh my god, my resting heart rate is 7.
Yeah, that's very true.
We were talking about how we are hot rod meat robots.
Yes.
My bones, right? So when I had one of my spinal surgeries, my surgeon was like, you could go skydiving. You could not skydiving. You could go bungee jumping tomorrow. Like your bones are held together with titanium. Like your shit is tied up. And I have, I was one of the titles for my show is going to be the $350,000 man. Like there's a small house of worth all up in this.
Yeah, well, I thought that when I had the hardware taken up my ankle, that I've still got the hardware taken out of my other leg, that if bit by bit I collect all the sections, I could build my own metal me, and we can. I don't know if we'd take over the world and work together, or I don't know if it would be evil Nay, and I would have to fight my metal self.
I'm thinking, yeah, it's evil Nay would be my 10 cents. Because either, I'm not gonna, talk down to you, Nay. I'm not gonna mansplain. You're not the best at soldering, so you're gonna have to use some kind of soul magic to animate it, which would then, be black magic, and then all of a sudden, boom, evil Nay,
you're a magician. Robot. You're a magician. Why can't you magic up some artificial life into my metal self? That's a question you've never been asked
wizardry.
Before. Yeah.
Yes, you are correct. I have been asked to disappear people a lot.
But that's a whole different business.
That's my dark web. But no,
that one we only advertise on business cards. We don't do it online.
The difference is, magician is an expensive liar. A wizard is Harry Potter shit. So you want me to magic up life into your animated exoskeleton? Call Harry Potter. You want me to pay $500 to learn a single card trick? I'm down. I'm down to clown.
All right, you're rubbish and pointless, and I have no use for you anymore.
Pretty much.
Goodbye to you, sir.
I say to you, good day. This marks the end of our creative partnership.
Our friendship is now over.
Null and void. Clank. And then you stamp a stampy thing.
Done.
Finished. And then you press end on a Zoom call.
Just do that now. That's it. Podcast finished. Because
But
you
the
can't
real
magic up persons.
but the real magic, though, the moral of the story, Naomi,
Mm,
is that the magic is inside of you all the time.
yeah. Okay.
Because it's that wow, what the fuck just happened moment. That's magic. That's where your thinking mind stops for a brief heartbeat, and you're like, everything that I thought was true is not actually true. That's where it lives.
You have been helping yourself to medication today.
No. I'm not wrong though. Tell me I'm wrong.
No, you know, you're not. But
I may
yeah.
have I think my microdose may have been more of a mini dose.
Can always tell when you've needed to medicate your pain.
Why? Because I talk more?
Yeah. You go off on some tangents where we go off on tangents, and I'm all for tangents. I'm all for losing the subject. When you've had a painful morning, I'm lost on your tangents. But it's fun
It's
to
fine.
watch.
They're just let it wash over you. It's just me gassing off. It's literally me off gassing.
Yeah, no, and I'm here for it. I love
It's
it.
been a fucking long week. And then yeah, no, I had 2 caps. That's what it was before the start of recording. And I was really sore. And now I'm talking too much. And I can tell because then you're waiting for me to finish whatever particular
And there is no particular end. You don't know what the next word is going to be. Just let it happen.
and then there's words that come out of my face hole.
It's exciting because neither of us know where it's going. What's going to happen next, Steve?
Who knows? So we
Do
do
you-
need to talk about the back to the topic now.
Yes, yeah.
Yes. This is a serious podcast with real reasons.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, it was about self-identity.
Self-identity.
And like I think I'm quite a strong person. I think I kind of know who I am and stuff like that. But the judgment that I get from other people, I'm still learning on how to, one, not preempt what their judgment will be, and also not take their judgment on board. So I tend to think people are going to judge me as, like, say, being dumb or lazy or whatever. And so I'm guessing that that's how they're going to respond to me. And then if they do or make a slight comment that supports that, I then feel shit. Like, oh, I want people to like me. Please like me, people. And so when people don't, or I think they don't, that makes me feel shit. And that then becomes my identity. And I know that I'm not that person. But you can't say to people, no, you must see me as clever and amazing. You can't force people to do that.
But people, the thing is, like, whenever somebody has said something like bad and mean about me that I know that I can like prove, is not actually the case.
Yeah.
You're the person being an arsehole. The fact that they've spoken it into being gives, and because you're saying as well, like, if they say something that might lead credence to that all those self-doubting parts, that even if it's just not actually what they're saying, if they were really talking about something completely different and you heard it with a weird inflection or something, and then we automatically apply that negativity to ourselves, but we can't accept the positivity either.
It's like if somebody says 10 things about you and one of them's negative, that's the only one you're going to remember. And I read some theory, and it was as our caveman selves, that we're kind of programmed to see negativity more because it's a survival thing. So you can see a butterfly and go, oh, that's nice. Or you can see a tiger and go, no, pay more attention to the tiger. That's the danger. And so as people, we kind of seek out the negatives because we need to protect ourselves from it, which is why with sort of depression and stuff, people say, pay attention to the small things, like walk on the beach or play with a flower. I don't know if that's the thing. It might as well be. That's
you're telling I'm the one who's high and you're sitting there playing with flowers. Just stop. I need to play with this flower. Give me 10 minutes.
Yeah, yeah, but yeah. So, oh no, I'm just crying because I'm overtired.
Okay.
Okay, so yeah, so paying attention to those little things helps to balance out our hyper focus on negative stuff.
Mm,
And that's something that's a constant learning.
mm,
Like I think I'm pretty strong mentally, and like we said before, we've kind of been forced into having to deal with stuff.
mm,
And so we've got good coping strategies and stuff. So I think I'm pretty good on that. But what I have to remind myself is that I'm a work in progress. Like you
mm,
never achieve like peak life. You're never 100% right. You never achieve that level,
mm.
because once you complete life, then you're dead. So it's kind of good that you don't complete it. You never reach boss level, you know.
I think you can get to mini boss level. I think
Yeah.
there's but you're right in that that's what I was saying, like when you're like really nailing down the mindfulness stuff, but it's always creaky. Like,
Yeah.
there's as much as you think the worst thing could happen, there's always something 1,000 times worse.
Yeah.
Unless you live in like Gaza. I'll give you that one.
Yeah, or like we said before, yeah, there's always someone worse off, and at least we're not like, living in medieval times or in a war zone.
Or the 50s.
Or what was particularly wrong with the 50s?
There was no internet. Black people
Oh,
couldn't do shit.
yeah,
It
there's
was not the nice place MAGA people want you to think it is.
yeah, that's true. I was just thinking about women having to do the washing up. That was as bad as my brain went. I forgot about all the other crap. Sorry. There's terrible racism and judgments going on, and there's me worrying about having to cook a sandwich. You don't cook a
Well,
sandwich.
it's like it's kind of, it's a little bit of an internet meme where it's like, as bad as you think it is right now, it's been getting better
Yeah,
slowly, you know.
yeah, and
For
that is
most of the people, things are mostly improving.
yeah. And all the people who feel their lives not improving, that fight against so much, like, oh, I don't understand all this terminology, and
Mm,
they're very threatened by progress because it means admitting that you were wrong.
mm, yeah.
Like when people go, "Oh, we've always used these terrible words," and it's
Mm,
like, yeah, now we know better. Stop using
mm.
those words. And I like to think I'm, pretty accepting and all,
I would
whatever.
even go so far as to call you a progressive, Naomi Strain.
I will not argue with that. Yeah,
You woke ass bitch.
I know, right? Just sneaky on the side, being all woke in the corner. Woo. But I also know that I'm not right all the time. And so when someone says, "Here's some new information," it can be
Mm,
quite confronting at first. You go, "Well, no, oh, no, but I'm writing things." But you have to then go and do the research into it. You have to then go, "Why am I being so," like in it's little things. Like normally in the past, when people would say, "Oh, I'm pregnant," and you go, "Are you having a boy or a girl?" And then
mm,
someone said to me, "Why? Why are you asking?" I was like, "Oh, because
mm,
it's one of those questions you ask." And they're like, "You shouldn't be interested in basically my baby's genitals. Yeah, why does
mm,
that affect you? The kid is going to be raised playing with whatever toys, wearing whatever color, and all this. So
mm,
the gender of that baby is completely irrelevant to anything. It doesn't affect anything." And at first, because it's a question I've always, always ask,
mm.
my initial reaction was, well, that's a load of nonsense. Just asking what kind of baby you're having.
Mm.
And then, yeah, I kind of thought on it more, and it's like, yeah, it's irrelevant. And
I
so
saw.
now I'm more naturally just going, yay, for a baby. Y- and so
Well,
it's
what's
growing
because
and
the thing
learning.
is, like, what's because that's like the trope that I remember, like from the 80s, is that like being more excited because it's a boy. And that, like,
Yeah.
all the men, you give out cigars and it's a boy and you're really excited that you're having another boy
Yeah. Having one
because
of those
that was the more
important babies.
valuable thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
because girl babies are less important. You don't give out, blue ribbon cigars and cartoons for a
Yeah,
girl
there's no
baby.
particular celebration, is there? Like I saw these whole gender reveal nonsense, and there's one where she had three daughters, and they were doing the gender reveal on the 4th, and it was another girl, and they burst into tears, and it was like, oh, they wanted a boy, and it's like, how's that kid gonna feel knowing that they were a disappointment before they were even born? At least with my parents, I disappointed them later in life.
Yeah, you gave them the illusion at first. You're like, look at me, I'm a person.
Yeah, I'm
I
a
got a
normal
job
girl.
and everything.
Yeah, so out of your 5 kids, they're all amazing, and it's like, no, somebody has to be the runt of the litter, and that is me, runt with an R. I am the runt of the litter. Thank you very much. But someone's got to have
Whatever
it.
helps you
So.
sleep at night, Naomi. Whatever makes it okay for you.
Yeah, well, I mean, you can't have 5 perfect children. One of them has to be a bit more rubbish than the others. And so I will take that. I'm a good person. I'll take that for the team. I'll be that person
You're
who's
such a
rubbish.
literal saint. Literal
I am
saint rubbish.
actually one of the most amazing people that has ever walked the earth. There's nothing to the contrary.
Give me any social construct that contravenes it. I will. No way, Jose.
How dare you doubt me?
Because that's what we talked about a little bit before, is like the whole giving up the idea of earning and working and being a productive male member of society. That was a big thing for me as a guy who grew up in the 80s in America. And it's like, oh no, that your ability to make capital makes you valuable.
Yeah.
And your ability to provide. And that was a huge thing for me, was that concept that I could not provide enough to support my wife and child.
Yeah.
And that was like, and that I couldn't do that single-handedly,
Yeah, having to kind of hand that over when it's not just like that societal expectation. You do put it on yourself as well.
Well, yeah. But because that's what you're told as a kid, and as you're a kid, you're looking around, so, oh no, boys are better. We have boys and we have girls. Cool, that's all right. There we go.
Yeah, girls are shit. Had a girl baby. Give it back.
And it's like, and I think one of the reasons that the boomers are like reacting so strongly to it is because it changes everything.
Yeah.
Like the fundamental shape, that if you can just pick,
Yeah.
then all of a sudden they're so much less special than they once were.
That's it. It's like, with you thinking, you've got to be the breadwinner and you've got to provide and all that. When you can't do that, and you have to think about what do you bring to the table, for want of management speak, it's like, what do you give? Like, what difference do you make, or whatever? And it's like looking at yourself, thinking how people or the world or whatever benefits from you is really hard. And so, for, like you say, with the boomers, with all that being questioned, like, if so far what they've brought to the table is supporting the family, or if anybody is able or permitted to do that, then what have they got that makes them special? What makes them important? And so it's not just us with our disability going, well, that life's been ripped away from me, I've got to look at other stuff. Like, for people like that all they've ever bought is earning the money, what have they got? What's their marketable thing?
Well, and there was a great tweet that I saw that was like, it will constantly astonish me how like, in reaction to kids not doing what they want because they're too angry and mean about it, they've just doubled down and gotten even more angry and mean about everything. And it's like, I look at like Gen Z and Gen Alpha and all these kids coming up, and I'm like excited for the cool stuff that they'll do, and like, I think that they're neat. Whereas I so much feel like boomers just hate us so much.
Yeah. It's that being stagnant in what you've thought is always what you're going to think, and not being open to the variations of people and circumstance. And I think through having the seizures, it has helped me be a better person, because I have to be more open to people's quirks or individualities or identities, because I don't want
Mm,
to judge other people the way that I've been judged or perceived to have been judged. And
mm.
so if I hadn't have had to deal with that, I may have been more closed-minded. I may have been more judgmental.
And I think I've had a lot of situations where I don't want to judge people as hard as I judge myself, because I think so ill of myself that I think so well of everyone else.
But you
And
are
that,
right to think badly of yourself because you are a terrible, awful person.
I
Yeah.
did make jokes about my dying friend being a racist. So I mean, you're not wrong.
I put, I tried to put that clip on TikTok and got a community, guidelines, got a violation. Like, okay.
Oh, that's very funny.
Yeah. Yeah.
Maybe no Hitler talk.
It was,
Fine.
don't say that word.
Oh my God.
I'll bleep it and reverse it, but
Hitler.
but yeah, so you try not to judge other people as harshly as you judge yourself.
Hmm.
And so yeah, I think
But
no
yeah,
matter
and then you think that, like, oh, because I think I'm such a shit, everyone else must be really brilliant and not horrid or mean or self-deluded or 1,001 other things, and then they turn out to be a shitty person, and I'm like, well, that was a complete surprise.
yeah.
Nobody could have seen that coming.
So really advice would be when you meet new people, assume the worst of them because they're probably awful people too.
They're
Yeah.
probably shitty people, unless they're comics, in which case they're definitely shitty people, but they're the kind of people you want to hang out with.
Yeah. Laugh at the shit.
Yes,
Which is
they're
what
like
we're all
they're bridge
about.
trolls. They're not real people.
Yeah, yeah. People that only come out at nighttime.
Yeah, no, they're fantastic. I love them all.
The broken people are more fun.
Oh God, yeah. And this is
So
what
we
you
should
tie it,
break them. If they're not already broken, let's break them. We will make the
like
world a better place.
tie it right back to the beginning. And you were talking about how, like, having this ability makes you by default more interesting because you're rare, that you're not the normal thing.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
we so often think so ill of ourselves, and we assume that other people are going to think ill of us. But really, most of the time, people, when they find out that you've had horrible stuff, their reaction is kindness. It's like, oh, is that sympathy, that pity, that we're like, oh no, don't give it to me, I can't take it. Ugh. But
But
they're
also,
coming from
please
this
give me
place
all
of
the
like, oh my
nice.
God.
Yeah, yeah. It's like if I have public seizures, people are generally, and people want to help, and for want of a better description, people like the chance to be the hero and look after a person because intrinsically people are nice, I think, most of the time.
I think most of the time.
Yeah, well, I mean,
And
yeah,
even when they're not being nice, they think in their head they're being the nice one.
yeah, yeah.
I think very few people set out, like, wake up and think, I'm going to be a fucking dick to everyone today. There are some, don't get me wrong.
It
But
would be
like,
fun though,
even
just to
like
let
really
loose.
narcissistic people, they genuinely think they're the shining star of the universe.
Yes, yeah, very much. And I think we've all experienced those people. Yeah. And it's hard because those sort of people, there's
Especially
no,
in the theatrical.
yeah. And there's no educating somebody like that. You can't go, hey, have a little look at yourself because that might not be very good behavior. They're never going to listen to that. Yeah.
They just can't. And then you're left in the, you're like, well, I'm expecting something that's just not going to exist from this person. So you just have to kind of X them out of your life a bit.
Yeah. Which that, like I was saying with other people's judgments, is that knowing when to walk away from somebody who's not making you feel nice. And so when people judge me, rather than, and this is the thing that I'm having to constantly work on at the moment, is other people's behavior to me, whether that's because of the seizure or whether they just think I'm a dick or that they just don't like me because I'm a terrible person, that is their judgment of me something I need to take on board or not? Like, do I need to learn from it and go, yeah, actually, I didn't respond the best, or I'm not good at that, or do I need to dismiss it? So say when medical people are judgmental or treat me like, like I'm a time waster or I'm a fraud or whatever, like I'm a frequent flyer, when do I need to take it on board? And I'm getting better at you know, the fact that I do have a genuine medical need for them. And if they aren't okay with that, that's tough shit. I don't need to take that on as a judgment about me. But it's so hard not to. You know, especially because after a seizure, your emotions are pretty raw. And so the slightest little,
yeah, you're all over the show.
Yeah. So if somebody glances you a bit wrong or says a sentence in a way that could be taken wrong, then it hits so much harder. And that chip on my shoulder turns into like a whole potato. You know, it's
like as well, because they're medical, they're professionals. So when like not just some asshole in a bar, this is a person who wears a stethoscope and a lab coat, you know. They're recognized, thinks ill of you, then you're like, it's like 1,000 times worse.
Yeah. And it's like trying to have that good view of yourself, as you know, as much as you can, and have it shaped by your reality and not by somebody's ignorant judgment.
So that is going to, we had a couple 6 dozen callbacks there to the start of the episode. We it wandered, but we always managed to kind of tie it up in some kind of ugly knot.
We kind of stayed
wrapping
vaguely on topic.
I like to think that this podcast hits like a middle ground.
Yes, I like the tangents.
Right. Well, I hope you guys have enjoyed the tangents and that you continue to subscribe on YouTube and leave us the reviews and all of the things on the places. You can find us on Laugh, Cry or Die on all of the platforms, except you need to put at the front of it.
Yes. Just Google us. You'll find us. We're huge. We're everywhere.
Because I don't know if you know this, but Naomi is the greatest person to have ever lived in the history of time. So, you know, she's kind of a big deal.
Fact.
Sorry, I didn't put enough of a full stop on that at the end of my...
And that's going to be on the t-shirts. Greatest person who's ever lived.
We hope you guys have had some fun. Hopefully see you guys in a fortnight. Ciao, ciao.
Bye.